Good night, everybody. Once again, I'm live here from Dubai International. Time is now almost midnight here in Dubai, and the weather is feeling very good, very nice. Today is 11th July, and our live will stop in the 12th July. So this is really a amazing day, amazing time here in Dubai at this time. We are again going second time. Almost midnight time here, 11:30, and 11th July 2026. After just half an hour, it will be 12th July 2026, and we will start our live in 11th July, and we will close our live in 12th of July. So this will be our record also. Let's see the latest, some news, some breaking news until somebody will ask us questions, some feedback, some information. Let's have some news from the Dawn News. Mediators call for parley amid re-escalation in Middle East. As you know, there is a war escalation is going on in the Middle East. So the countries mediating the peace efforts, Pakistan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Turkey, they are trying to stop this war as soon as possible. And we are reading some news about war related. Pakistan, Egypt, Qatar renew efforts to bring Washington and Tehran back to the table. Shehbaz Sharif wants Peshkian to honor Islamabad MOU. Trump says Iran asked for talks, insists ceasefire is over. Iranians remain defiant, vow to never surrender. Iran steers clear as UNSC discusses its nuclear program. Tehran, Washington, Pakistan, Egypt, and Qatar, three of the states who helped broker a previous ceasefire between the US and Iran on Friday, urged both sides to resume negotiations. The urging coincided with another surge in diplomacy as leaders and officials engaged with Washington and Iran in an effort to cool down the tensions that have afflicted the global economy and put the wider Middle East in a precarious position. Let me know if you are watching our live. Please let me know your questions, from where you are watching, your country, your region, your city. I'm always waiting your questions. If there is no questions, of course I have to read some news to feed the live of YouTube recording. So US President Trump, who has blown hot and cold over the Iran issue in the past couple of days, said on his Truth Social platform on Friday that Tehran had asked the US to continue the talks. We have agreed to do so, but the US has stated to them in no uncertain terms that the ceasefire is over, he added. The two sides have exchanged fire on several occasions this week, with Tehran targeting commercial ships, Washington carrying out strikes in response, and Iran attacking US assets in Gulf countries with drones and missiles. So in a phone call, Egypt's Badr Abdel Hadi and Qatari PM Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdurrahman Al Thani urged all parties to give priority to the language of diplomacy and dialogue and to return to the negotiating table, Cairo's foreign ministry said. They also called for implementing the Memorandum of Understanding signed between the US and Iran sides as a prelude to reaching a final agreement between the two sides in a manner that contributes to de-escalation and to enhancing regional security and stability. In a separate statement, Qatar's foreign ministry said Sheikh Mohammed stressed the need for all parties to commit a dialogue and diplomacy and to implement what had been agreed under the US-Iran MOU, including ensuring freedom of navigation in Strait of Hormuz to preserve regional security and stability. Then, in a call with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz called on Iran and all other parties to exercise restraint and refrain from any action that could jeopardize the hard-earned peace gains achieved over the past few months. According to a readout issued by the PM's office, he also stressed the importance of upholding commitment under the Islamabad MOU, calling it an enduring framework for promoting mutual understanding, shared prosperity in the region and beyond. PM Shehbaz expressed deep concern over the recent escalation in tension in the region and underscored the urgent need to restore regional peace and stability, the statement said. He also assured Dr. Peshkian of Islamabad's readiness to continue playing an honest and sincere role in facilitating dialogue between Washington and Tehran. Later speaking to Qatari Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, PM Shehbaz reiterated the need for restraint, dialogue, and diplomacy to preserve regional peace. Let me know if you want any question. I'm here in Dubai. Dubai International. Today is 11th of July, midnight of time. Time is the midnight. So we are second time live for YouTube. Tomorrow is holiday, Sunday. So we have enough time. If you want to ask any questions, any feedback, any information, send me in the comments, please. I'm waiting for your questions. I am always waiting for your update, your information. You are always welcome from all over the world, from all the regions, from all the countries to Mr. KD. Yes, sir. I'm fine. Iranian media said a delegation from Qatar had arrived in Iran on Friday for talks following the latest escalation with the US. Rhetoric war, not backing down. Tehran vowed on Friday to respond to any attack against its infrastructure, including by striking Israel. Any attack on infrastructure will be retaliated against. The criminal Zionist regime responsible for these atrocities will not be safe from the response of our fighters. Separately, Iran's lead negotiator and Parliament Speaker Bakir Kalibaf said the conflict with the US will never end with Tehran's surrender, adding that Iran is ready to defend itself if Americans walk back from the MOU. At any moment, the Americans betray the understanding. We are ready for full-scale defense and will stand firm against them and defend the rights of the Iranian people. Ending the war is a priority for the countries of the world, but everyone should know that this conflict will never end with Iran's surrender. He also said that Muslim nations must stand up and unite against the US and Israel UNSC meeting. Meanwhile, at a UNSC meeting convened to discuss the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, Pakistan called for renewed diplomacy to resolve the Iran nuclear dispute. Lionel, Salman, Raveli, hello, how are you? Where are you? From where you are, please let me know in the comments. Warning that any interruption in the ongoing diplomatic process could complicate efforts to reach a mutually acceptable settlement. Pakistan urges all sides to uphold their respective commitments under the Islamabad MOU, which remains an enduring foundation for understanding, mutual respect, and shared prosperity for the region and beyond. Pakistan's UN Ambassador Asim Iftikhar said. At the outset of the meeting, the Russian and Chinese delegates objected to the holding of the session, arguing that Security Council Resolution 2231, which endorsed the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action on Iran's nuclear program and was used to convene the meeting, was no longer in force. She said that some UNSC members continued to flout the rules by requesting meetings on agenda items that simply do not exist for narrow political reasons, and requested a procedural vote on whether the meeting should be held. Let me know your questions, your answer, your feedback. I am waiting for your questions. If there is no questions, of course, I need to read the news. I need to read the latest news to feed my life if there is no questions. Iran did not make a statement as they no longer recognize the resolution that was used to call the meeting. UNSC General Secretary General, United Nations Secretary General for Political and Peace Building Affairs, warned that the international community has strikes, raising concerns over transparency and the ability to monitor Tehran's activities. U.S. Ambassador Bruce also stressed the importance of sustaining diplomatic engagement telling the Council that the door to diplomacy remains open and is our preferred path to resolve concerns related to Iran's nuclear program. Bahrain's ambassador Jamal Faris said the region had experienced one of the most dangerous waves of escalation in its modern history. He said Tehran had failed to uphold commitments under the Security Council resolution. So this is the news regarding the Iran war. So there is latest news also from Dawn News from Pakistan. Is security operation is going on against the terrorists there in Balochistan after some huge massive terrorist attacks on the security personnel. So let's see the Quetta. From Quetta, security forces have killed 39 more terrorists during the last 48 hours in a massive operation launched in the Shaban area of Quetta district. They said security forces, including the Pakistan Army, Frontier Corps and police, had been conducting a joint operation in the Shaban area since July 5 against terrorists involved in the killing of 27 police personnel during an attack on a police post at Mangi Dam. The terrorists had martyred 9 police personnel, including 2 station house officers, and took away 18 other policemen at gunpoint. Later, they killed and abducted police personnel whose bodies were found in the mountain areas. So this is the news from Pakistan. There is security operation, massive security operation is going on against the terrorist hideouts. Actually, the terrain and the area is so difficult, so mountainous, so dangerous that there are too many places for hiding. There are so many caves, there are so many places where the terrorists can hide very, very easily. That's why the operation is really very, very difficult. Anyway, the Pakistan security is capable, Pakistan security forces, Pakistan army is capable to defend the country at any cost, Let's see what's the next news. Iran Supreme Leader Mustafa Khamenei vows revenge for assassination of father. And Quetta split into 2 districts. And then is U.S. Democrat Ro Khanna detained by Israeli settlers during West Bank visit. Speedboat accident in southern Vietnam. Same news. Pakistan and U.S. make significant progress in talks on proposed reciprocal trade agreement. So there is some good news for Pakistan. Pakistan and US made significant progress in a fresh round of negotiations on a proposed reciprocal trade agreement, Foreign Office spokesperson Tahir Andrabi quoted. The 2-day talks held on Thursday and Friday in Washington were led by Commerce Secretary Jawad Paul. They aim to address tariff-related concerns and broaden economic cooperation between the 2 countries. Paul characterized the talks as positive and appreciated the significant progress made during the negotiations. The talks were conducted in a cordial atmosphere with both sides ironing out differences and building convergence with a view to the early conclusion of the agreement, said Andrabi. The Pakistan delegation also included overseas Pakistanis and Human Resources Development Secretary Nadeem Chaudhry and Joint Secretary Tariff Policy Mohammad Ashfaq, while officials from other ministries participated virtually. Officials familiar with the discussion said the negotiations covered not only the reciprocal tariff arrangements but also broader areas of economic cooperation, including energy, information technology, mining, investment. The latest talks follow earlier engagement between Pakistani officials and the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative on tariff concerns. Pakistan is also among nearly 60 countries facing Section 301 investigation by the USTR over alleged forced labor and related trade practice. Islamabad has submitted detailed response to the USTR, including another submission on Wednesday ahead of the talks. So there is some trade talks going on between Pakistan and USA for trade and commercial activities between the both countries. Announcing the finalization of a trade deal, then US President Trump had said both countries would work together on developing their massive oil reserves. Islamabad and Washington have expressed interest in increasing collaboration in areas such as critical minerals, energy, development, information technology, and emerging economic sectors. Islamabad has also continued to seek greater market access for Pakistani exporters, particularly in sectors with strong potential in the US market. The US is Pakistan's largest single country export market, while Pakistan is the second largest importer of the US cotton, underscoring the importance of the economic relationship between the two countries. So this is good news for trade and commerce activities between US and Pakistan. The daunting reciprocal tariffs of the tariff. So next, see the next news. Today is 11th of July, almost midnight time here in Dubai, and we are going to enter the next day, 12th of July 2026, after just more 15 minutes. So we have to read some news. We have to read some editorials. Hello, Fans Ruby. Hello, how are you? Hi, Fans Ruby. Where are you watching our live? Please let me know your country, your city, your name, your country name, your city name. Let us have some communication. I am here in Dubai. You can ask me any question about me, about Dubai, about Africa. So I have to search some other latest news. If there is no questions, I have to read some news so that I can feed my live on YouTube. YouTube now have very strict rules and regulations for monetization of channels. Really very hard. They want the content creators should be facing camera with real commentary, with real voice, with real content. No more AI, no more machine generating, no more copyright. So many new rules and regulations. So let's see this news. US Democrat Ro Khanna detained by Israeli settlers during West Bank visit. US Democrat lawmaker Ro Khanna said he was detained by Israeli settlers armed with US-made rifles during a West Bank visit this week after he cast as an unfiltered look at the human toll of Israeli occupation as he weighs a 2028 presidential run. Speaking with Reuters on Thursday in a Palestinian village, Khanna said his group's van was surrounded by settlers wielding M4 rifles a day earlier while touring a part of the southern West Bank where residents face frequent settler attacks. We were at a village that Israeli settlers had destroyed. They had destroyed the school, they had destroyed the village, and we were just looking at it, said Khanna, progressive lawmaker from California in the US House of Representatives. And these hoodlums come in with machine guns, M4, an American-made machine gun, and they detain us. They block off the road, and then they call the IDF, and the IDF is on their side, not on the side of the Americans, Khanna said. An aide to Khanna, who was in the group, Cameron Kashki, said they were held for more than an hour and made appeals to the US Embassy in Jerusalem for help. A group of officers who appeared to be police eventually intervened, leading to their release. The Israeli military said troops and police officers intervened after receiving a report of settlers blocking vehicles near Zanuta, a small Palestinian hamlet whose residents were forcibly displaced by violent settler raids following the 2023 Hamas attacks on Israel. Upon their arrival, the troops dispersed the Israeli civilians and allowed the vehicle to continue on their way. Israel police did not immediately respond to a request of comment. Democrats divided over Israeli conduct. Khanna is the second Democrat considering a White House bid to visit the region this week. In Tel Aviv on Wednesday, Emmanuel, who was chief of staff to former President Obama, said Israeli policies toward Palestinians were eroding support for the US-Israel alliance. Asked if he was running for president, Khan said, "I am strongly considering it, and I am more resolved to consider it after this trip." Israel's conduct toward Palestinians has emerged as a flashpoint in democratic politics and ahead of November US midterm elections, contributing to primary defeats for some incumbent lawmakers targeted by left-wing challengers who accused them of supporting Israel's right-wing government. Israel's favorability rating among Democrats fell 59% in 2018 to 22% in May. While Israel has long enjoyed strong bipartisan US support, an increasing number of Democrats in Congress are now pressing to cut off military aid, which amounts to $3.8 billion per year and includes funding for light weaponry like M4 rifles and missile interceptors that Israel used in the Iran war. Overlooking a valley dotted with settler outposts on the outskirts of Tarmus, a village home to thousands of Palestinians, American dual nationals, Khan said he believed his party's establishment was clueless about how much of a moral test Palestine, Gaza, and Israel have become. He said he chose to do a visit exclusively to the West Bank with programming led by Palestinians to give him an unfiltered view of the territory Israel captured in 1967 Middle East war. If you are unwilling to speak up for Palestinian human rights, if you are unwilling to speak up against the genocide in Gaza, the apartheid in the West Bank, then you are not morally compromised, Khan stressed. Israel rejects allegations that it carried out a genocide in Gaza or that it instituted an apartheid regime in the West Bank, which has a population of about 3 million Palestinians and around 500,000 Jewish settlers. Most countries and the UN regards Israeli settlements in the West Bank as illegal under international law, citing the Fourth Geneva Convention prohibition on transferring a civilian population into occupied territory. Israel rejects that position, saying that West Bank is disputed territory where there has been a Jewish presence for thousands of years. Palestinians view the West Bank, together with Gaza and East Jerusalem, as part of a Palestinian state. So this is the news from the Palestine. Next is news about, let's see what's the next news. Let's see some Turkish news. Let's see some Turkish news, if there is some latest news from Turkey. This is Daily Sabah from Turkey. 12 Gazans killed in fresh Israeli strikes as UN warns of warning aids. Erdogan honors Srebrenica victims on 31st genocide anniversary. Spain battles deadly wildfire that leaves at least 12 dead. Typhoon Bavi barrels toward China after battering Japan. So first see this deadly wildfire in Spain. This is also a sad news from Spain, from Europe. Hundreds of firefighters supported by helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft battled Saturday to contain one of Spain's deadliest wildfires in the recent years, which has killed at least 12 people. Authorities said lighter winds and higher humidity have improved firefighting conditions, but the blaze's massive scale continues to hamper containment efforts. Antonio Sanz, head of Andalusia's emergency services, said the fire has already scorched about 66 square kilometers of forest and farmland, an area roughly the size of Manhattan. Fire crews carried out controlled burns overnight along the fire's perimeter in an effort to slow its advance, Sanz said. The blaze erupted late Thursday in a semi-arid area near the Serra de los Filabres mountains in Almeria province during an intense heat wave across Spain. Authorities said most of the victims, believed to be foreign nationals, died after disregarding shelter-in-place orders. 7 people were killed after abandoning their vehicles and attempting to escape on foot. Regional authorities said 4 of the victims are believed to have been British because the burned out vehicle they were traveling in had the steering wheel on the right side, a feature typical of vehicles registered in the UK. Science said Saturday that authorities had completed autopsies and collected DNA samples to help identify the victims. Spain's Foreign Minister Jose Manuel Albarra has spoken with his counterparts in the UK, Belgium, Canada, and the Netherlands about the fire. Spain's official EFE news agency reported Almeria is home to one of the largest communities of foreign nationals in Andalusia. Authorities evacuated 1,448 people from 11 areas. Jeffrey and Christine Kimber were watching one of their favorite television shows in their Los Penos farmhouse when the blare of a siren alerted them to the fire. Jeffrey Kimber said that when they saw the advancing flames, he and his wife jumped into separate cars while trying to help a neighbor with 2 toddlers. He described how the couple became separated and how he was unable to contact his wife because she did not have a phone with her. I am driving through the flames. It was actually flames. I thought, I can't stop. I just gotta go. What is the time now, your country? Hello, Ravi Chandra. Ravi Chandra, let me know from where you are watching our live. I am here in Dubai. Dubai is now midnight, 12 o'clock. Dubai is now exactly midnight. Ravi Chandra, please let me know from where you are watching our live. Are you in India or from other countries? Please let me know. Have some communication, have some chat. I am waiting your questions. Ravi Chandra. Our new follower Ravi Chandra. You are India. Okay, you are in India, but where are you now at this time? Are you in India or in Europe or somewhere else? I am here in Dubai. Zeno East BS. Welcome. I will send you $500. Which city you are in India? You are in Bangalore. You are in Kochi. You are in Hyderabad. You are in Delhi, Mumbai. India is a very huge country. Huge. Bangalore. Wow, great. A technology city, Bangalore. So welcome from Bangalore. Bangalore, I think, Karnataka, yes, Karnataka state, not the Kerala. Yeah, Karnataka state. So welcome Karnataka, Bangalore, and what is this? Kerala and Karnataka, I think, together. Anyway, it's here in Dubai exactly 12 o'clock. Exactly 12. Just 2 minutes more, then it will be 12 o'clock midnight. And we are just more half an hour away from closing our live on YouTube. Tomorrow is Sunday and we are enjoying our holiday tomorrow. So that's why we have time to go record more live sessions for our YouTube. I'm just new here on YouTube. That's why I am working hard. I am recording my videos to complete my watch hours. I'm uploading more and more videos. I'm also busy in social media and TikTok. So I'm just 6 months on social media, and it's really going well. I'm enjoying my journey on social media, and I'm very hopeful for my future in social media. That's why I'm working very hard. Anyway, but I can't donate, bro. You can't donate? You can sleep, no problem. I will donate to you because your stream is good. No need donation, no need any donation. Just subscribe, follow, and that's it. Enough. Europe is the world's fastest warming continent. Europe is the world's fastest warming continent, with temperatures increasing twice as fast as the global average since the 1980. According to the European Union, Copernicus Climate Change Services. Parts of Western Europe are facing their third heat wave in 6 weeks. Globally, 2025 was the third hottest year on record, bringing several intense heat waves across Europe. Several wildfires remained active across France on Saturday as temperatures soared. Interior Minister said 32 people have been arrested across the country since the beginning of the summer in connection with wildfires. Those unacceptable acts, which have disastrous consequences and mobilize our firefighters at the risk of their lives, now fall into the hands of the justice system. We will continue our determined action and will not let anything slide. French President Macron also weighed in, recalling in a post on X that 9 out of 10 wildfires start because of human activities. More than 25,000 hectares of land have burned in France since the start of 2026, roughly double the area burned during the same period last year. France is experiencing the peak of its third heat wave this summer, with temperature reaching 40 degrees across western and central parts of the country and around 37 degrees in Paris. In the French capital, the Eiffel Tower will close in the afternoon over the weekend instead of late at night as it usually does. The Louvre Museum and the Musée d'Orsay have also announced reduced opening hours because of the heat wave. Last month was France's hottest June on record, with deaths surging by nearly a third during the hottest week. Wildfires are common in Spain, with last year's fire season burning more than 393,000 hectares, according to the European Forest Fire Information System, an area about twice the size of London. Spain's deadliest wildfire occurred in 1979 when 21 people died in L'Oreal. In Pedrogo Grande. In 2017, a wildfire in neighboring Portugal killed 66 people in Pedrogo Grande, about 200 kilometers northeast of Lisbon. In that blaze, 47 people died on a single road while attempting to flee in their cars. Anyway, this was the news from Spain. The wildfires are erupting very fast. They are destroying the villages, destroying the forest, they are destroying the agricultural land very, very fast. Now the next news is about Typhoon Bavi barreled toward China after battering the Japan. China evacuated more than 1.8 million people Saturday as Typhoon Bavi barreled toward the major eastern city of Guangzhou after lashing Japan's southern Sakishima island chain with torrential rain and destructive winds while skirting northern Taiwan. Although Bavi is gradually slowing and weakening as it moves northwest over cooler waters, the storm remains a serious threat because of the immense amount of moisture packed into its rain bands, which stretch roughly the length of France from end to end. Bavi had maximum sustained winds of 144 km per hour, equivalent to a Category 1 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale, and was about 200 kilometers southeast of Wanling in eastern province of Zhejiang. So this is the Typhoon Bavi heading towards China after battering the Japan. State media said more than 1.7 million people had been evacuated across Zhejiang province, where Guangzhou is located, and more than 100,000 in neighboring Fujian province. I am a little worried, but I think it will be okay. We have been through typhoons before. We will get through it, said Guangzhou resident 50 who was buying groceries at a traditional wet market before it closed ahead of the typhoon. Huang said his family had stocked about 2 to 3 days worth of water. I think supplies are well guaranteed now. There is no need to panic or stockpile a lot of food or other supplies. While Japan and Taiwan While Japan and Taiwan have not reported any deaths from the typhoon, 17 people died in the Philippines because of the heavy rains brought by an enhanced southwest monsoon worsened by Bavi's impact. Taiwan's fire department said 87 people injured, mostly in falls from motorcycles, bicycles, or after being struck by falling objects. Taiwan avoids the worst of Bavi. In Taiwan, the government evacuated more than 14,000 people, mainly from mountainous areas, as the island shut down ahead of Bavi's approach from the north. Although Bavi did not make landfall in Taiwan, the government took precautions to prevent loss of life after forecast called for nearly 1 meter of rain in some areas. Most of those evacuated were in northern and eastern areas, while 920 international flights were cancelled, effectively closing Taiwan's main international airport at Taiyuan outside the capital Taipei, as well as 282 domestic flights. Nearly all cities and countries across Taiwan declared a typhoon holiday Saturday, closing offices and schools that otherwise might have been open over the weekend, though some restaurants and convenience stores in Taipei remained open. The main north-south high-speed rail line continued to operate with reduced service. In downtown Taipei, some people were still out on the streets in blustery winds and rain. It's okay, it's not that serious, said Ma Husing, 68, who was out for a morning walk. Where is gone? Who was out for a morning walk with his dog. It's just a little bit more wind. But in Taipei's Batu neighborhood in the foothills surrounding the city, wind gusts of about 100 kilometers per hour knocked down trees and swelled rivers. In Wenzhou, Chen Queen, who is in her 60s, walked through the steady rain on her way to her parents' home to help them prepare for the typhoon, but said she was not overly concerned because of the government's preparations. I was worried about the flower pots on my mother's balcony, so I am going to help move them inside. My parents are both elderly and they are home alone, so I wasn't at ease. This is the reality of this life. This is the reality of the world. We have to grow, we have to grow old, and we have to leave this world one day. Some people are living even in the young age. Some people are living even in the childhood, and some people are living in the old age. So this is the process, this is a chain, this is a cycle. Everyone who is coming to this world, he must leave this world one day. So Turkey says European Parliament's Cyprus resolution null and void. Let's see some news from Europe and Turkey. Turkey late Thursday rejected a European Parliament resolution on Cyprus, calling it null and void, and accusing the EU of taking a biased approach to the decades-long dispute. In a statement, the Turkish Foreign Ministry said the resolution contained baseless and preposterous allegations against the heroic Turkish armed forces. The resolution adopted by the European Parliament, which contained baseless and preposterous allegations against the heroic Turkish armed forces, is null and void. The ministry also expressed full support for a statement issued by the Foreign Ministry of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus in response to the resolution, describing the text as replete with despicable slanders. The ministry said it represented the latest example of the biased and distorted approach adopted by the EU and the EU Parliament in particular under influence of the certain circle with respect to the Cyprus issue. The ministry also voiced concern over the EU's increasingly one-sided stance on Cyprus. It is concerning that EU institutions are increasingly approaching the Cyprus issue in a manner that departs from historical realities and impartialities, the statement said. The island has been mired in a decades-long dispute between Greek and Turkish Cypriots, despite a series of diplomatic efforts by the UN to achieve a comprehensive settlement. Ethnic attacks starting in the early 1960s forced Turkish Cypriots to withdraw into enclaves for their safety in 1974. A Greek Cypriot coup aimed at Greece's annexation led to Turkey military intervention as a guarantor power to protect Turkish Cypriots from persecution and violence. As a result, the TRNC was founded in 1983. The country is fully recognized only by Turkey, which does not recognize the Greek Cypriot administration in the south. The island has seen an on and off peace process, but negotiations have been stalled since 2017. So this is the island issue between Turkey and Greek. Let's see what's next. Terror-free Turkey law in work, no pardon for Okalan. What is this? Turkey's de-dollarization advances as lira deposits hit 11-year high. Maersk to restart Middle East US shipping through Suez Canal. Wow. Due to blocking the Strait of Hormuz by Iran, the pressure is on the Suez Canal. Maersk, one of the world's largest shipping companies, said on Thursday it would resume its Middle East to US East Coast service through the Suez Canal as the Danish group takes another step towards restoring routes through the Red Sea. Most shipping companies abandoned the Asia-Europe trade corridor through the Suez Canal after attacks in the Red Sea by Yemen Houthis, forcing vessels to take the much longer route around Africa's Cape of Good Hope. Some carriers have recently begun considering a gradual return to the corridor. So, what's going on here? What's going on? By making the structural change of returning to the Trans-Suez route for the MECL service, we will offer significantly improved transit times, Maersk said in a statement. The company said westbound transit times would improve by an average of 7 days, while eastbound sailings would be up to 14 days. Maersk said on Monday that it would resume some sailings through the Suez Canal under its Gemini cooperation network with Germany's Hapag. Maersk also faced disruption to other services in the Middle East during the Iran war, with some vessels unable to enter or leave the Gulf. So all the companies, all the world, all the economies are suffering due to Iran war. Russia says in touch with Turkey on fate of the S-400 missiles. Education Ministry announces Turkey's LGS exam results. Istanbul bred peasants help fight ticks across Turkey. Turkey bring back 54 wanted suspects from 12 countries. Construction of a new language and Turkish manuscript institution. NATO summit, Turkey emerges with renewed strategic influence. Just finished the NATO summit in Turkish capital Ankara. Al Ummah to fight disinformation, foster Muslim policy dialogue. What's next? Any breaking news, any latest or interesting news? Let's see. Istanbul police detained 31 suspects over fake residency permits. Let's see this news. Because Istanbul is the beautiful city in the world, one of the beautiful cities in the world. So authorities in Istanbul have detained 31 suspects accused of enabling foreign nationals to obtain residence permits using forged documents. Recently, teams from the Istanbul Police Department Anti-Smuggling of Migrants and Border Gates Division launched an investigation under the coordination of the Istanbul Chief Public Prosecutor Office into the use of fake documents in residence permit applications. Investigators determined that the suspects were engaged in criminal activities by altering documents submitted during residence permit procedures, issuing forged paperwork, and preparing false declarations. Following technical and physical surveillance, police identified the suspects and their addresses and carried out simultaneous operations across the city. A total of 31 suspects were detained and taken to the police station for further procedures. Foreign nationals often face challenges when applying for a residency permit due to a combination of regulatory complexity, documentation requirements, and evolving compliance standards. Foreign nationals can face problems when applying for a residency permit when documents are incomplete, incorrect, or not submitted through the proper channels. Even small errors or missing information can delay the process or lead to rejection. It is important to use only real official documents and to complete every step through legal procedures. Turning to fake paperwork or unreliable intermediaries may seem easier, but it can cause serious consequences, including losing the chance to obtain a permit. Making sure that documents such as rental agreements, insurance, and identification are accurate and properly submitted helps avoid complications and improve the chances of a successful application. Last month, Turkish authorities detained 51 suspects in coordinated raids across 6 provinces centered on Istanbul for allegedly helping foreign nationals obtain residence permits using forged documents. The operation, carried out by police under coordination of the Istanbul Chief Public Prosecutor Office, found that the suspects had submitted altered documents and false declarations during the application. Authorities also launched procedures to cancel the residence permits of 441 individuals who had obtained them irregularly and initiated deportation process. So this is the news from Istanbul. Istanbul is the beautiful city in the world, beautiful city in Turkey. Every year, millions and millions of visitors, tourists, and business people are visiting this beautiful city. This is also called the city of cats. There are so many cats in Istanbul, so many cats. Cats are everywhere, in streets, in metro, in shops, in malls, in mosques, everywhere, in the roads, in the forests, in the parks. There are cats and cats and cats everywhere. Beautiful cats, very lovely cats. Baby cats also. So Turkey's ruling AK party invites public to Hagia Sophia anniversary march. Wow. This is really developing news. But anyway, let's see the 12 Gazans killed in fresh Israeli strikes as UN warns of warning aid. This is news from Gaza. At least 12 Palestinians killed in Israeli strikes across the Gaza Strip over the past 24 hours, despite a ceasefire that has been in place since October 25. Palestinian health officials said Friday, as the UN warned that sweeping global aid cuts have left at least 1 million women and girls without access to critical humanitarian services. The latest the latest violence underscored the fragile nature of the truce, with Gaza's health ministry reporting 8 deaths and 17 injuries from Israeli attacks during the latest reporting period. The ministry said the overall Palestinian death toll since the war began in October 2023 has climbed to more than 73,000. Health officials said many victims remain trapped beneath collapsed buildings or stranded in areas inaccessible to rescue teams because of the ongoing security risk and widespread destruction. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਗਲੀ ਜਾਓਗੇ ਨਾ ਸਿੱਧੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹ ਅੱਗੇ ਸਿਗਨਲ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਅਗਲੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਉਹ ਗਲੀ ਸਿੱਧੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਅੱਗੇ ਸਿਗਨਲ ਆ ਮੇਨ ਰੋਡ ਇਹ ਰੋਡ ਐਂ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਨਾ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਅੱਗੇ ਇੱਕ ਸਿਗਨਲ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਛੋਟਾ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਸਿਗਨਲ ਹੋਰ ਉੱਥੇ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹ ਇੱਥੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲੇਗਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਮਿਲੇਗਾ ਉਹ ਉੱਥੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਪੈਟਰੋਲ ਪੰਪ ਹੈਗਾ ਜੀ ਹਾਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਬੱਸ ਸਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਅੱਗੇ ਥੋੜਾ ਅੱਗੇ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਓ Separate medical sources reported that 2 Palestinians were killed when an Israeli drone struck a home west of Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. In Gaza City, 1 Palestinian was killed and 3 others were wounded after an Israeli strike targeted a civilian vehicle in Rimal neighborhood. Another drone strike in the Nusrat refugee camp in central Gaza killed 1 Palestinian and injured several others, according to local medical officials. The latest attacks add to growing concerns that the ceasefire, which took effect in October 10, is steadily unraveling. According to Gaza Health Ministry, Israeli military action since the ceasefire began have killed 1,000 Palestinians and wounded 3,500 others through Thursday. Israeli authorities say operations carried out during the truce are targeted response to security threats posed by the Hamas and other armed groups. Israel says it acts in self-defense and accused Hamas of operating within the densely populated civilian areas, allegation Hamas denied. Independent verification of battlefield claims remains difficult because of restricted access to Gaza. The war began following Hamas' October 7, 2023 incursion into southern Israel, killing about 1,200 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Israel responded with a large-scale military offensive that has devastated the Palestinian territory. Gaza's health ministry says more than 73,000 Palestinians have been killed and more than 173,000 wounded since the conflict began. Israel disputes aspects of the casualty figures and rejects allegations that its military campaign constitutes genocide. The war has left much of Gaza in ruins, with an estimated 90% of civilian infrastructure damaged or destroyed. Hospitals, schools, roads, and residential neighborhoods have suffered widespread devastation, while humanitarian agencies continue to warn of severe shortage of food, clean water, medicine, and shelter. The humanitarian crisis has been compounded by a sharp decline in international aid, dwindling aid. The UN warned Friday that at least 1 million women and girls had lost access to life-saving support because of dramatic cuts to foreign aid since January 2025, threatening the survival of frontline organizations serving some of the world's most vulnerable populations. UN Women said the funding cuts have stripped women and girls affected by conflict and humanitarian crises of access to critical services, including health care, protection, and support for survivors of gender-based violence. Speaking from Stockholm during a briefing in Geneva, Sofia Galtop, UN Women's Head of Humanitarian Action, described the agency's latest finding as deeply disturbing. We know that this number is just the tip of the iceberg. She warned that women's organizations working on the front lines in Afghanistan, Gaza, the DRC Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, Sudan, and Yemen are increasingly at risk of shutting down as funding dries up. Every dollar withdraw from women's organization is a dollar withdraw from survivors of the conflict related sexual violence, displaced mothers, girls forced from school, and communities struggling to survive. The funding crisis follows major reduction in foreign assistance by several donor countries, including the United States, after Trump took office in 2025, alongside broader spending cuts by other governments. UN Women estimates that around 120 million women and girls worldwide now require humanitarian assistance and protection as armed conflicts reach their highest level since World War II. Its report, based on responses from 855 women-led and women's rights organizations across 52 crisis-affected countries, found that 84% had experienced increased demand for services since January. Nearly 90% of organizations said they can no longer meet existing needs, while 40% expect to shut down temporarily or permanently within the next year if funding does not improve. Many organizations are surviving only because staff members continue working without pay. According to the report, 65% of women-led organizations said employees are volunteering their labor to keep essential services operating, while nearly half reported growing staff burnout. So, Caltor also warned that cases of conflict-related sexual violence doubled in 2025, even as the system designed to protect survivors continue to deteriorate. UN Women found that 86% of surveyed organizations reported rising levels of gender-based violence in the communities they serve. The agency said the consequences are already being felt by vulnerable women and families. Shelters for survivors of violence are closing. Pregnant women are traveling longer distances to reach health clinics, and many mothers are struggling to secure food for their children. Beyond the immediate humanitarian impact, UN Women warned that the collapse of women organization is accelerating a broader rollback of women's rights. 1 in 5 organizations has already suspended programs promoting women's leadership and gender equality, while more than half reported declining participation by women in community leadership and local decision making. Wildfires rage worldwide amid climate crisis. For all his greatness, Ronaldo failed to conquer the World Cup. This is sad news for Ronaldo and for Portugal. Cristiano Ronaldo built one of the football's greatest careers over more than 2 decades, deciding matches, inspiring teammates, and defying age to remain among the sport's elite long after his celebrated spells at Real Madrid, Manchester United, and Juventus. But the one trophy that always eluded him remained out of reach on Monday as the 41-year-old saw his 6th and final World Cup end in heartbreak. Portugal was eliminated 1-0 by Spain in the round of 16, leaving Ronaldo in the tears at the final whistle. Portugal's campaign Portugal's campaign came to a crushing end when Michael Merino scored in the 91st minute to seal Spain's victory in Arlington, one day after Ronaldo calmly confirmed that this tournament would be his last World Cup. As he walked out of his final pre-match news conference to applause from reporters on Sunday, Ronaldo said he had no regrets about a career that pushed the limits of excellence and endurance for more than 2 decades. Portugal coach Robert praised Ronaldo's commitment after the match, describing him as an icon of the sports. We will always be grateful for what he tried to do at this World Cup because the dream was to win the World Cup and he led by an incredible example as captain. This is not the moment to look beyond what we are talking about. A football icon, there are not many Cristiano Ronaldos. 27 matches, 11 goals. So all is this history. Ronaldo is really a great player from Portugal. Had Portugal topped its group instead of finishing behind Colombia, and had both teams continued advancing, Ronaldo and Messi could have met in the quarterfinals. It would be tough, Ronaldo said of the potential showdown after scoring twice in Portugal's 5-0 rout of Uzbekistan in the group stage, his best performance of the tournament in North America. For a player who conquered nearly every other challenge the sport had to offer, that sense of what might have been will accompany Ronaldo's World Cup farewell. So this is the last farewell World Cup of Ronaldo. Ronaldo is getting retirement from the World Cup, from the football. So he's already a hero for last 20 years, for 2 decades. So now is the time for his farewell exit from the football. So door-to-door xenophobic raids deepen tensions across South Africa. There is too much issues going on in South Africa. The locals, tribal people in South Africa, they are checking the buildings, the homes, the houses, door-to-door, which have raised tensions among the people living in South Africa, Africans and non-Africans. Everyone is losing their business, losing their jobs, losing their lives. Anyway, now it's time to close our live because we already are in the next day. Today is 12th of July 2026, and we are closing our live at this time now. So today is Sunday and we are gonna sleep. We have to take rest. See you tomorrow.